Good day, everyone. I am Sabina Nalasa, and for our topic, we will be discussing about the Noli Tangere, which is a novel written by our very own national hero, Dr. Jose Rizal. So, let us proceed now to the making of Noli Tangere. I have here a timeline of the novel. So, Noli Tangere was inspired by Harriet Beecher Stowe's novel entitled Uncle Tom's Cabin. So this novel, this one, was about politics, and Rizal was inspired by that and had the idea to produce a novel about political history of our country and reveal what kind of society the Philippines had during the Spanish colonial rule. So by January 1884, nag-organize si Rizal ang meeting along with other Filipinos wherein nag-propose si Jo or nag-suggest si Jo sa isang idea about sa mag-publish ang novel. So his friends, which were Pedro Paterno Maximino Paterno, Antonio Paterno, Barciada Lopez-Haina, Valentin Ventura, Eduardo Delete, Evaristo Aguirre, and Julio Llorente agreed. They unanimously agreed and approved to contribute to the papers for the proposed novel. However, in a letter written in January 2, 1884, Rizal explained that the plan did not materialize because the gentleman refused to refused na refused sila para further discussing sa topic, and Rizal noticed that his comrades were more interested in writing about women, and they prefer to spend their time gambling and flirting with Spanish women. So because of that, Rizal decided to just write the novel after he went abroad in Madrid, Spain. And that was the later part of the 1884. So he started writing it. And in 1885, after he arrived in Paris, France, he finished about 3/4 of the novel. And by April to June 1885, he completed or finished the remaining chapters in Berlin, Germany. And it was already at the end of 1886. So by 1887, the novel was officially ready for publication. So on March 29, 1887, about 2,000 copies of the novel Noli Tangere were printed. Although it was successfully printed, it was not a walk on the park. The process was not a walk on the park for Rizal. Our national hero experienced hardships and challenges, especially the financial ones. And fortunately, when his friend from San Miguel Bulacan, which was named Dr. Maximo Viola, as kind as he was, he offered to lend money for the publication of the novel. He gave 300 pesos for the publication. Mo published around 2,000 copies. So because of that, he was dubbed as the savior of the Noli, and he was the first person to ever read the novel and appreciate our national hero's work. So this is a picture of Dr. Massimo Viola. Mo na si Ja. Kung wala si Ja, basta hindi ko publish ang Noli Tangere. So si Ja mo nabansa na same hero sa Noli. So let's move on now to the novel's description. So Noli Tangere was originally written in Spanish and published in 1887. So this story is based on the political history of the Philippines and nag-expose siya sa mga abuses and inequalities sa mga Spanish Catholic friars and Spanish religious officials during sa ilang time during this time. So with 63 chapters and an epilogue, Rizal was only 26 when he wrote that. 26 pa siya. He was currently studying medicine in the Universidad Central de Madrid. So this novel was dedicated to the country nga nag-lead sila of sorrows and miseries, lead sila ang difficulties because of the Spanish, Spanish government and friars. And this novel serves as the awakening of the Philippines mind na dili na din sakto ang ilang paghihirap tungkol sa mga Spanish. So this served as an awakening. Ilan na din i sakripisyo ilang pagaling para naman sila makalaya sa hardships nilang na experience sa Spanish colonial rule. So, Noli Tangere is a Latin word that is translated as touch me not. So, it is the first in the trilogy that Rizal wrote, followed by the El Filibustero and Macamisa. Although the Macamisa one was never finished because our original hero died. So, after that, the Noli Tangere, which is known as a Latin phrase, na dito siya sa Biblia or biblical phrase, na giingon ni Rizal, giingon ni Jesus Christ to Mary Magdalene. And it was recorded in John 20:17 that said, "Touch me not, for I am not yet ascended to the Father." So, ayon nila gikuha ang title sa touch me not. And it's added the words of Noli Tangere. So let's move on now to the summary of Noli Tangere. The story started when our main character, Ibarra, arrived home after living from abroad because of his education. So he was welcomed by Captain Tiago, who hosted a welcome party at his house in Manila. So, kanin si Jai is na-serve siya gathering sa mga known na people since ang pamilya ni Ibarra is known for it. So, ang naaadto or pagkusikuhan, syempre ang pamilya ni Kapitan Tiago, then naatod si Padre Damaso, ang San Diego Paris priest. Then Fray Sibylla, the young Dominican curate of Binondo, and Lieutenant Guevara of the Guardias de Bilio, and Doña Victorina, wife of a fake Spanish physician, Tiborcio de Then, napareto ang fiancé ni Crisostomo Ibarra, which is si Maria Clara. So, although the party was for Ibarra, para welcome si Ibarra, it did not end well because of Padre Damaso. Padre Damaso kept mocking Ibarra and tried to harm his reputation. And Ibarra, as he just ignored the friar's affront and chose to just leave the house, leave the party. So, pag hawa niya sa party, nagka-estula si Jenny, Lieutenant Ibarra, and that is when he knew the truth about the miserable fate of his deceased brother. Ato, ni-reveal ni Lieutenant Ibarra ang hitabo sa baba, which was which is papa ni Ibarra na si Don Rafael, which was wrongly accused by the San Diego curate of being a heretic and filibuster just because he saved a helpless young boy. And by defending that young boy, he accidentally pushed and killed the little Spaniards. Because of that, he was imprisoned and he died on the cell. One another ni Ibarra after injury in house party. So the next day, Ibarra visited his lover, which is Maria Clara. And after that visit, he went straight to San Diego to visit her father's grave. And when he arrived there, he met the grave digger, and through that grave digger, he learned about his father's corpse. Supposedly, ang father's corpse, ang grave digger is gibayaran sa Jama, ipa-dug out ang patay na raw sa iyong ama, then ibalhin siya sa Chinese military since his father. Okay, So sorry for that silent cut, kaya nag-insufficient storage among cell phone. So let's continue na. So the next day, Crisostomo Ibarra visited his sweetheart, his lover na si Maria Clara. And after visiting, he went to San Diego to visit his father's grave. And upon arriving, he met the grave digger and learned about what truly happened to his father's deceased body. So the grave digger was paid to dig out Don Rafael's body from the Catholic cemetery and transfer it to the Chinese cemetery. But that night it was raining and the corpse was heavy, so the grave digger decided to just throw the deceased body onto the river. So upon learning about this information, Ibarra was angered and he attacked Padre Salve, who was the parish priest in San Diego. Pero, at that time po, anak ko na-explain si Padre Salve, dili pa siya ang parish priest when it happened. So, sa katong nahitabo sa iyang papa, ni Don Rafael is kontakto, ang assigned pa ito parish priest is si Padre Damaso. Dili si Padre Salve. Mo na explanation ni Padre Salve. He claimed himself as innocent, kay hindi pa daw siya dito. Kundi, ang dapat dito ang inan is Padre Damaso daw. So, when Maria and her family arrived in San Diego, Ibarra gave picnic at the lake, and during their boating picnic, he saved a man named Elias who was almost killed by a crocodile trapped in a fish cage. So, after saving the man, later on, the Guardia Civil arrived looking for Elias, and Ibarra then knew that the man was a criminal, as the Guardia Civil said that he assaulted Padre Damaso, irony of yours. However, by the time that the Guardia Civil arrived at the lake, Elias already escaped. And later on, Ibarra received the news that the donation that he offered in a school in San Diego was approved by the Spanish government. So, on the day na punta, next day na punta sa town fiesta, Ibarra and Maria attended the morning mass officiated by Padre Salve and Padre Damaso. And during the mass, at nagpagpakita ba si Elias, which became Ibarra's friend, and Elias told Ibarra na naiplano ang friars na ipapatay si Ibarra. And tungod na naman kaya mas dahil ka ng donation. When he was about to cement the foundation of the schoolhouse, the platform collapsed. And fortunately, because Ibarra was already aware, Ibarra was already aware of what's going to happen. And Elias was quick also to save Ibarra from being collapsed by the platform. And instead of Ibarra, in this case, Ibarra namatay, ang tao na naman hindi bayaran para ipatay sa Ibarra, muna sila naman na dogan sa platform. So instead of Ibarra, ang namatay is ang tao na bayaran para ipatay sa Ibarra. So, later that day, nag-host si Ibarra ng cat. And as usual, Padre Damaso mocked Ibarra. He kept mouthing Ibarra's father, which is Don Rafael, and that really angered Ibarra, and he attacked Padre Damaso and almost killed him. Kung wala lang si Maria Clara, sabi mo, ihala na tatay si Padre Damaso. So because of Maria Clara's kuan, na pag nga ni Maria Clara sa Ibarra, kuan na dyan patay sa Padre Damaso. And because of this, because of the event, Padre Damaso was angered too and decided to just cut off the engagement between Maria Clara and Ibarra. So, one day, ang mga enemies ni Ibarra is nagplano sila matakihon ang station sa Guardia Civil and ipalabas nila na ang pasimuno is si Ibarra. But then their plan failed, and although the plan failed, Ibarra was still accused na si Jagal J. Pasimuno ito. So Ibarra was then arrested, but Elias helped him escape. So, gitabangan siya ni Elias na mag-escape sa prison. And before leaving, nihapit sila sa bahay ni Kapitan Chango and nagpag-meet ni Maria Clara. Adto na confess ni Maria Clara nga ang mga letters na gikan ni Ibarra is ijapon gihatag ni Padre Salve in exchange sa letters na gikan sa mama ni Maria Clara. And that day also, Maria Clara learned that she was not a daughter of Captain Chavo, but her Captain Chavo, and his biological father was Padre Damaso. So after that, Ibarra and Elias then took off by boat, and they were chased by Guardia Civils. So because of that, Elias lied. That si Ibarra sa boat and tabunag rocks, and he acted as Ibarra para ma-confuse ang mga Guardia Civil. So, niambak si Elias sa tubig, and the Guardia Civil, thinking that he was Ibarra, they fired him and shot the waterman as a child. So after that, thinking that Ibarra was already dead, they left. However, Elias was badly injured because of that firing. Niabot siya sa forest where he met Basilio, who was then crying while holding her deceased mother, named Sisa. Sisa was a previously crazy woman who got crazy because of his lost son's altar boys. So these two, Basilio and Basilio, were altar boys who was also wrongly accused. Ngayon sila nangawat sa last name. And they went insane. That's why her mother went crazy from the evil word and eventually died. And as for Elias, learning that he will be healed now, he will eventually die, he instructed Basilio to make a funeral pyre and burn his body and Caesar's body. Ipa-cremate in rock. So, before notice Elias' daily last words, and here is his last words that stated, "I shall die without seeing the dawn break upon my homeland. You shall see it. Salute it. Do not forget those who have fallen during the night." Muna last word ni Elias. So, the novel's epilogue narrates that si Captain Tiago is na-addict siya sa opium, and Padre Damaso were transferred to another church, a faraway church, and later on discovered that he died in his bedroom. And as for Maria Clara, who was then sorrowful because she believed that Ibarra was already dead, she entered the nunnery. And Padre Salve left the chapel to become a chaplain at the nunnery where Maria Clara was enrolled. So some may heard that Salve, who had been portrayed that he was having a desire for Maria Clara, regularly molested Maria Clara. So one night, the villagers saw a crazy woman at the top of the convent, crying, and nag-ingon nga, murag iyang gisisi, murag na hilak sila, napagawa sila ng debate, nga nahitabo ita na, nahitabo na mo like that. And the name of the woman was not wagingan, wag state, kung sa mga babae. But many believe and it was assumed that the woman was Maria Clara. And that was the story of the summary of Noli. And let's move on to the characters of Noli and Tangere. The first one is Juan Crisóstomo Ibarra Rizal, or most famously known as Ibarra. Siya ang main character, full Filipino, both youngest season na. Nidong nag-abroad para mag-study for 7 years before they got to Pilipinas. So, Ibarra's family is rich and they were looked up to. So, nasa-influential mga connections. And upon learning about what happened to his father, he changed. Naotro siya ay na-change. Na-change siya. Then, pero, he fulfilled his father's wishes na magpatukod ang school nga dili sakop sa mga friars. So, honor his father. So, next one is Maria Clara. He is the leading lady of this novel. And Ibarra's lover or sweetheart. So, Maria Clara was a woman of a high social standing. He is the adopted daughter of Capitan Tiago and the goddaughter of Padre Damaso. Although in the novel, it was revealed that her biological father was Padre Damaso. And she's actually a product of the scandalous relationship between the father and his mother, Tia Alba. So, Maria was engaged to Ibarra, but na-end that engagement kay patigil ni Padre Damaso. And later on, he was engaged to another man, multi-man, named Linares. Next is your Father Damaso. Sila ni sabing villain or kontra sa novel. He was an old, power-hungry, and shamelessly corrupt Spanish priest who had lived among the native Filipinos for nearly 2 decades. Si Jam hinanggal sa tanan. Iyang igamit ang iyang influence para mo gama ang bad things. And si Jam mastermind sa pagkamatan ni Don Rafael. And si Jam nag-mock ni Ibarra as what stated in the summer the novel. And also, di siya ganahan ni Ibarra. He was the one who cut off the engagement of Maria Clara. Next one is Elias. He is a mysterious character and the man who Ibarra saved while on the lake. Sila itong happy mamatay kay i-atake sa crocodile. So, si John na friend na si Jenny Ibarra and sila mo ay open, vocal si John. Kaya gusto si John magsikan. Unlike ni Ibarra nga more on kanina reform ka ng peaceful way. Kang Elias is vocal si John maghibagsikan dyan siya. Hindi pag-giyara din si John. So, he was also the one who sacrificed himself para lang maluwas si Ibarra. So, next one is Don Rafael Ibarra. So, sa novel, one is the proper character, which is the leading character, but na-mention siya as a deceased father ni Juan Crisóstomo Ibarra. So, kani siya is muna siya itong na-accused na filibuster because of saving a helpless boy and accidentally killing a Spaniard. So, he was imprisoned and died in the cell because of pneumonia. And nalubong siya sa Catholic cemetery, pero ipadag ang kaniyang patay nga house may kabalay sa Chinese cemetery. But then, gawan man ko, so yung patay nga house is gilabang niya lang sa river. So next one is Christine. Christine. So Christine is a young man studying to be a church caretaker. So Elder Boy is Christine together with his brother Basilio. So they work in a church to support their mother para pangyarabuhi ang sa church. But then, si Christine is waiting for his own money from the church coffers that it had sexton. So, naakusahan siya nga nangawat daw. Nasaktan daw po yung nga nangawat. So, gikulong siya sa simbahan o dapat dili siya kagawas tama, dili siya mabayad. Then later on, wala na mention, pero after that event is wala na mention ang balik si Christine. But it was assumed that he was killed by the head sexton of the church. So the next one is Basilio, and this will be recorded by my other co-reporter.
Basilio, eldest of Caesar's brother, he, like his younger brothers, are sectons in training. Basilio makes a desperate run for their home the night Crispin is dragged away. He attempts to locate his younger brother the day after, but his search efforts come up fruitless. The following day, the civil guards comes looking for him and his brother. Fearing for his life, he makes a mad dash for the forest, where he goes into hiding, living with kind family until Christmas Eve, where he planned to return to his mother. When he finally reaches Sisa, but learns that the poor woman has gone mad from grief and is thusly unable to identify her son, he follows her to the forest where she regains her wits temporarily, recognizing her son and then dies from the shock. So, si Basilio is igsoon ni sila ni Crispin. And then, ang si Crispin kay sa tawag ko na, gipasanin lang man na may nagbuka o kwarta. So, hindi nga diri nga drag away. Crispin is drag away. So, si Basilio is ni uli sa ilaha ang ipangita niya nga igsuon nga si Crispin. So, ngayon fearing for his life, he makes a mad dash for the forest where he goes into hiding. So, si Basilio nagtago and when he finally locates Sisa, but learns that the poor woman has gone mad from grief and is thusly unable to identify her son. So he follows her to the forest where she regains her wits temporarily, recognizing her son and then dies from the shock. So next, Father Salvi, a younger, more cunning Spanish priest who assumes control over Father Damaso's post as prior curate of San Diego. He is in many regards more dangerous than his precursor, as he is a cunning strategist who knows how to leverage the multiple dirty little secrets each of the members of San Diego's high society circles has. So si Father Salvi is parit na siya o a younger, more cunning Spanish priest who assumes control over Father Damaso. So, kontrolado po siya ni Father Damasus. So next, Captain Tiago Don Santiago de los Santos. Captain Tiago is our rarity in that he is a wealthy native-born Filipino socialite. He keeps close ties with high-ranking members of the Catholic Church, despite actually having no love for them. His primary concern is to marry off his daughter, the lovely Maria Clara, to an affluent man from an influential family. So, si Captain Tiago is na anak na bae. So, gusto siyang mga sawang niyang anak sa influential family. So this is one of the main reasons that he speaks to those aside his loyalties to Crisostomo Ibarra when he is labeled as subversive. His predilection for advantageous social pairings makes him quick to assent to Linares as a potential new match for his daughter. So next, the ensign. The nameless head of the civil guard of the township of San Diego, a man of Spanish descent, is in a constant bitter feud with Father Salvi, as he has come to hate the sly priest manipulation. In retaliation, the ensign imposes curfews that make it all but possible for the citizen of San Diego to attend mass at the proper schedule. A drunkard and a braggart is actually a couple-wed man married to a very feisty and foul-mouthed Filipina, Dunya Consolacion. So the ensign is ang iyang wife, si Dunya Consolacion. Kanya head po siya sa civil guard of the township of San Diego. So, motto, next. Dunya Consolacion, the pugnacious wife of the ensign. Dunya Consolacion is an older, cantankerous Filipina woman who constantly lectures her husband. So si Dunya Consolacion is maoy mando sa iyang husband nga si the ensign. And then their fights are the stuff of legend that it is an open secret that it is she, not her husband. So siya masunod, si Dunya Consolacion, imbis ang iyang husband. And then not her husband who makes the decisions for the organization. She is described as an exceptionally vulgar woman and exceedingly ugly, almost but bordering on a caricature, prompting the less charitable members of the civil guard to facetiously call her the muse of civil guard. Dunya Consolacion sees herself to be a person of great standing in society. So, siya rin nakita sa iyang mga kuwan, great standing in society na even if she is the only one who holds this opinion. And even if she is wholly Filipino, she feigns inability to speak Tagalog, her native dialect, insisting instead of speaking very poor, narrowly pidgin Spanish. So, mga to, Dunya Consolacion, asawa ni the ensign. Nya siya mo mumando dili si the ensign dili ang iyang husband. So, next, Dr. Tiburcio D. Espadanya, a fraud and a hustler, the Spaniard who calls himself Dr. Tiburcio D. Espadanya, who was actually a custom officer who was dismissed from his post shortly after arriving in the Philippines. Despite having no medical experience or money, he travels to the countryside posing as a doctor. So wala siya experience si Dr. Tiburcio. So ni travel siya sa lain nga countryside posing as a doctor. Nagpaka-arwingon nga doctor, charging extortionate fees for his so-called service. His patients eventually catch him of his schemes and he is forced to relocate to another area where he is all but unknown. Ganang wala yun naka-ibaw nga dili siya tinuod nga doctor. He finds this was to Santiago as San Diego, and as luck would have it, the unfortunate Maria Clara falls ill, and he is once again called to resume his doubtly situs medical practice. So, Dr. Tiburcio, sumato si Dr. Tiburcio. Next, la doctora Victorina de los Reyes de Espadanya, a brazen and determined Filipina social climber. Doña Victorina is the spouse of the counterfeit doctor, Tiburcio de Espadanya. She will pass her crime and relies on garish makeup to carry an facade of youth. Her taste in fashion are mercurial, as are her patterns of speech, making the speech and manner of dress of members of high society and accomplished hustler herself. It is she that devises that Dr. Tiburcio treat Maria Clara as well as matching her up with his nephew, Linares. So, mauto si Dr. La Doctora Victorina de los Reyes de Espadilla. Next, Lieutenant Guevara, a morally upright man of Spanish descent who holds both Crisostomo Ibarra and the late Don Rafael in high esteem. He is also the Lieutenant of Civil Guard. He is one of the few who openly supported the Ibarras and was vocal about his dislike of Fray Damaso's control. So, wala siyang against siya ni Fray Damaso's control. Wala siya nagpa-under. So, Lieutenant Ibarra, a morally upright man of Spanish descent who holds both Crisostomo, so si Crisostomo and the late Don Rafael in high esteem. So he is also the lieutenant of the Civil Guard. And he was the one who informed Crisostomo Ibarra of the fate of his father and how Father Damaso was involved in his death. So, siya may nag-inform ni Crisostomo Ibarra about sa father and how about sa father ni unsay involved ni Father Damaso sa iyang father sa pagkamatay. Mga to si Lieutenant Ibarra. Linares, Dr. Espadania's nephew. So, pagumangko ni Dr. Espadanias si Linares. A respectable young Spanish man, so quite gifted and possesses a law degree, a near polar opposite of his uncle, and matter that hinders him to his uncle's social climbing wife. So, morning si Linares, nag-hold law degree, and then pagumangko siya ni Dr. Espadanias. So next, the schoolmaster, a teacher that Don Rafael House was allowing him to suitably attend to the task of instructing students. He informs Crisostomo Ibarra of the sorry state of education of San Diego since the passing of his father. The friars closely watched the material being taught in the school, forbidding him from teaching Spanish even if there was an edict stating that Spanish must be taught. The schoolmaster is grateful to the Ibarra family, but he expresses no optimism that he'd make headway in getting any lasting education reforms happen. So the schoolmaster motto. Next, Don Filippo Lino. Don Filippo Lino is a representative of the younger, less religiously shackled I mean generation of the movers and shakers in San Diego. He also serves as the vice mayor of the town, si Don Filippo, mayor's mayor, and then he despised the idea of spending lavish amounts of money on the numerous feast days that mark the religious calendar, seeing it as both wasteful and burdensome to the citizens, as it often puts them under great financial stress, may even going under debt just to be able to celebrate. His words, however, fall on their deaf ears as he is only deputy mayor. The mayor is commanding officer, is a dedicated follower of the Catholic Church and the de facto mouthpiece of the friars. So he despised the idea of spending lavish amounts of money on the numerous feast days that mark religious calendar seeing. So dili siya gusto na magasto og kwarta kung kwadra ka ng about ka sa feast days na seeing it as both wasteful and burdensome to the citizens as it is often puts them under great financial stress. So mga to si Don Filippo. Next, Sisa. So the long-suffering mother of sectons in training Crispin and Basilio. She goes mad upon the loss of her sons, impoverished and married to a violent drunkard. Her sons were the only ray of sunshine in her life. She wanders the town, clothes tattered and hair disheveled, calling out for her sons. So gubot o samot ang iyang kinabuhi. When she actually does meet Basilio, she cannot recognize him. But when her wets do return, she dies from surprise and sudden joy. So, Sisa, mother of sectons in training, Crispin and Basilio. So, nakasawa siya buwan. Violent drunkard. Her sons were the only ray of sunshine in her life. Next, Father Sibaila. Father Sibaila, a priest serving in the Binondo district in the city of Manila. Father Sibaila serves as a fuel to the otherwise largely corrupt Fray Damaso and the perverse Fray Salvi as he is rational and calm. Father Sibalia is an adept and shrewd orator who takes obvious delight in antagonizing the pompous Father Damaso at Ibarra's returns party. So, motto si Father Sibaila. So, Prisia in the Binondo district in the city of Manila. And then next, the grave digger, a cemetery worker who exhumes Don Rafael's remain upon the insistence of Father Damaso. Moved by pity and laziness, he dumps Don Rafael's body in the lake, seeing it as a more fitting resting place for such a respected man. Ibarra grills him anxious for information about his father. So the grave digger. Next. So symbolisms in the Noli ni Tangere. Mga symbolisms in the Noli ni Tangere. Noli ni Tangere intends to depict the real conditions of the Filipino life under the Spanish rule. Mainly because of the rampant corrupt acts of the Spanish officials and friars, the way of living of the Filipinos during the time had been backward, anti-intellectual, and anti-progressive. up to the point that the country was not in any watching catch up on the developments of the so-called age of enlightenment. So kani nga situation is rampant corrupt, kanang grabe na ka-corrupt acts of the Spanish officials and priors. The way of living of the Filipinos during the time had been backward. So anti-intellectual, wala na ilan na sila ka kuhan, sabon sa gusto sa mga tao. Aron mas mulambo pa na anti-progressive. So grabe ka unprogressive na country. And as Rizal introduced the novel to his friend Ferdinand Blumentritt, he wrote the novel is the first impartial and bold account of the life of the Tagalogs. The Filipinos will find in it the story of the last 10 years, Noli, Tangere. So next, the schoolhouse, more than just an edifice for learning, edifice for learning, the schoolhouse has become a symbol of empowerment and freedom. Having received an education abroad, Ibarra does not bow down to the priest and is all but immune to the threat of excommunication. So, the schoolhouse, next. Captain Tiago. Captain Tiago is the in-novel embodiment of the Philippine government during the Spanish colonial era. So, in-novel embodiment of the Philippine government, si Capitan Tiago. There was native Filipino participating in civil government in those days. However, many of them tended to be mere figureheads, serving more as a mouthpiece for the Spanish Cortes, Capitan Tiago. Like the Philippine government also shares in these unflattering characteristics. Powerless and silently enduring of the indignities he suffers at the hands of the Catholic priests that eat at his table and rape his wife. Capitan Tiago also represents the rich Filipino who opted to be allies as in tuta of Spanish officials and friars just to preserve their wealth and political positions. So, motto is Capitan Tiago. Next, Elias and Ibarra. The two characters, Elias and Ibarra, symbolize the two contrasting means by which political reforms are to be achieved. Elias, the mysterious insurgent who represent political reforms achieved through bloody revolutions, and his polar opposite. Ibarra, who represents political reforms achieved through civil discussions. Through these two characteristics, the ethics of governments are discussed at length, and as the novel progresses, the circumstances that happens to them continue to shape their political outlook. So much so, in fact, that by the end of the novel, the two have all but traded their political stance on revolution and social reform. So that's all. So, next reporter, si Lara Piquero. Lara Piquero, thank you.
And now let's proceed to the Maria Clara. Maria Clara symbolizes the nation of the Philippines under Spanish rule. So, Maria Clara is compare siya as a Philippines or the Filipino people. It is because she describes as a virtuous and beautiful woman, and at the same time she is weak and submissive during the Spanish rule. So just like the Philippines or the Filipino people is dapat we are submissive sa mga Spanish authorities because para makaiwas sa mga conflicts like that. And also, she is the cultured caricature and the novel criticism of the novelist of the typical Filipino woman of the age. So, Maria Clara is a product of exploitation, and it is katong siya kanang ang iyang father is, naka-experience po siya o kanang, iyang father is, dili bitaw siya kanang i-defend sa iyang father. And it is also sa katong about po sa iyang love or katong lovers niya which is si Crisostomo Ibarra. So, naka-experience siya of tragic fate. So, the first one is, di ba, pili siya, di ba, o kuan sa duha ka choices which is magkuan siya, kasi nga din mangita siya or ma-marry siya of another man or mahimo siya man. But kuan man siya, she is loyal sa iyang lover. So, she chose sa katong mahimo siyang man. And also, the worst part is katong she committed suicide. She committed suicide after she knew nga ang iyang lover, which is Crisostomo Ibarra, had been killed by the Spanish. And the next one is the Crisostomo Ibarra. So he represents the small group of Filipinos who had a chance to study abroad and dreams of improving the country. So si Crisostomo Ibarra symbolizes he is the idealist. As what I can understand, siya ang idealist or kanang iya bitong gibuhi or gi-represents ang mga Filipino or the educated Filipino people nga who wanted or who dreamed to have a better future for his country. So sa ato ang pag-think, so si Crisostomo Ibarra is he is selfless because makailan ko selfless siya because iyang mas giuna pa niya ang welfare sa iyang country compare sa iyang kaugalingon. And also even at his young age, gusto siya or study siya abroad and those learnings and knowledge na iyang nag-gain is he wanted to share it sa mga Filipino to have a better future. And also, paano siya gusto siya mo-construct kanang magama o public school in San Diego para ang mga children, Filipino children will become educated. The next one is si Father Damaso. This Spanish friar corresponds to wicked but ironically respected priest. So, friars means priest man, diba? So, si Father Damaso, he is a Spanish friar na ang iyang character is he is wicked, he is abusive, but at the same time, he is respected priest. So, bisan pa man sa iyang kanang laing bitang mabatasan or sa iyang characters, but ironically, he was respected priest. His character, so iyang character, iyang pagka-abusive, iyang pagka-wicked is ni-reflect ra po sa mga priest, sa mga Spanish priest because sa una, during sa ilang colonization, it is a reflection of the rampant covered fathering of illegitimate children by friars. So in the novel, and also in the novel, see Father Damaso, he was revealed as the biological father of Maria Clara. The next one is si Filosofo Tasio. This character symbolizes those whose ideas were advanced and wise but are perceived by the uneducated as weird and lunatic. So, si Filosofo Tasio, gi-describe siya as or symbolizes as kanang mga Filipino people during that time na sila mga ideas, mga ideas but kana bitang gi-take for granted ra nila, gibaliwala ra nila. So ingana ang na-experience ni Filosofo Tasio nga ma-compare po sa mga Filipino people. Those ideas were advanced and wise but also gitawag siya og weird or lunatic by the uneducated people. And it is said that Tasio's character was patterned after Pasiano Jose's intelligent brother who also saw reforms. Next is Sisa and her sons Crispin and Basilio. So, kanina family, gitawag ni sila og oppressed family. So, kung maghisgot og oppressed family, they are kanang kuan sila, naka-experience sila og inequality, naka-experience sila og discrimination, kanang wala sila fair treatment sa ubang mga tao. So even that, sa thorough CISA, result illustrated a lack of concern in facing and resolving problems that confront the Filipino family. So, this was the evident when katong si Sisa bitaw na lost sa iyang mental health is because ang iyahang sons is katong nawa bitaw katong what happened to her sons. So, it symbolizes her life. Her life symbolizes a typical Filipino mother na ang iya na bitang gifting is kanang welfare kaayuhan na sa ilang mga bata, and even kanang no matter what happened, she will defend her kanang sons niya. So, the next one is si Doña Victorina. She represents some ambitious Filipinas who wanted to be classified as Spanish. So, and kaya si Doña Victorina, paano siya? She is a Filipina, but gusto siya na ma-classified or matawag siya as the Spanish. So, even katong kuan siya, katong sa heavy makeup, ija itong i-imitate para ma-classify siya or ma-kuan siya as the Spanish. So, she despises everything Filipino, katong kanang mga cultures, mga traditions, mga or all about Filipino, iya tong gi-despise, and instead nga iya tong sundon, iya tong i-love, but iyang gi-despise, and ang iyang gi-imitate is the katong mga imitated what was Spanish, so katong an embodiment of a social climber and a colonial mentality. Next, Don Tiborcio. Doña Victorina's husband. So, Don Tiborcio is husband of Doña Victorina, for he was kind of symbolizes as the incompetent and unqualified Spaniards illegally practiced their supposed profession in the Philippines. Next one is Father Salve. So, si Father Salve, he is the Spanish friar's god or priest, and then, tuan siya kanang, tawag siya og hypocrisy. It's because, tuan siya, so kung basag lang yung hypocrisy is, kanang, ang iyang behavior is what ang behavior, wala na haon sa iyang actions, something yan. So, sa atong makita, he is kind and compassionate. But also, sa inside the eye, naade siya gitaguan nga kanang character nga dili bitaw kaaya-aya or something. Because he is cruel and lustful siya. So, even si Maria Clara, iya hangagi secretly harbors lust for Maria Clara. It represents the seemingly kind but in fact wicked Spanish friars. So, si Don Rafael Ibarra's father epitomizes the Spanish friars. And then the next one is the schoolmaster of San Diego. The schoolmaster of San Diego symbolized intellectual disappointment during results time. He wanted to change the teaching professions or the teaching methods so that the people will learn. So, ang mga teaching methods, mga strategies is i-change para ang mga people or daghan ng mga tao ang makakatun. Next one, the last one is Don Rafael Ibarra. Don Rafael Ibarra is the father of Crisostomo Ibarra. He symbolizes as a wealthy and virtuous man, and tungod sa iyang pagka-kind man na pansiya kanang he was falsely accused of a crime and in prison, it's because kuan siya, he was sent to jail because tungod sa iyahang gibuhat katong ni-help siya helping a boy from an abusive Spanish tax collector. Motong reason nga nung napriso siya. O siya pod katong kanang symbolizes sa mga Filipino people bitaw bisan walay gibuhat nga daotan but tungod sa ilang patakaran, tungod sa ilang clarity, matong ilang buhaton bisan wala nila gibuhat. So kanang sinundanhan mo to. Next one is reactions to Noli ni Tangere. The Noli, a novel by Jose Rizal, faced backlash from Spanish officials and friars, including Austrian friend Ferdinand Blumentritt and Dr. Miguel Moraita, who were criticized for their content. Rizal's Jesuit professor, Federico Faura, warned that the book contained subversive ideas against the Catholic Church in Spain, leading to the creation of streets named after them in Manila. So this part, at first John, ang mga tao is dili sila ganahan sa book which is the Noli ni Tangere, Rizal's book, the Noli ni Tangere. It is because kuan ka na gitawag siya o kanang dili siya kaaya-aya nga book. It is scandalous, mga patriotic nga na. So, even his friend, his Austrian friend, Ferdinand Blumentritt and Dr. Miguel Moraita were being criticized sa mga tao because of the content sa mga book. So, and then si Rizal po, giwarningan po siya sa iyahang professor, which is si Faura or Federico Faura, nga ang katong book is magkakos na to siya o trouble. So, magkakos siya trouble sa Catholic Church and also sa Spain. Kaya diba katong sa the previous na chapters is kulang sa chapter 2 man siguro to nga ang gibutang ato is wala kanang daghang against sa maong nga book because daghan those things nga kanang dili kaaya-aya bitaw sa mga bata. So, iba kay mandatory man to nga book ibutang sa curriculum sa mga students. And sa high school, ang gibuhat nila is katong dili original. And then, ang sa college no to sa original, it is because naay something or naay part ato nga kanang dili pwede sa mga bata or kanang iyan na. And then, motong, giwarningan siya ni Professor Federico Faura. Then, Rizal's family experienced backlash even before his homecoming in 1887, with Governor General Emilio summoning him to the Malacanang Palace. So, si Rizal, ang iya pong, dili lang di ay si Rizal, dili lang iya mga Austrian friend na si Blumentritt and Moraita, but also iyang family naka-experience po of tatong criticisms before his homecoming in 1887. So, ang si Governor General Emilio Terrero summoning him nga taga siya og summon si Rizal, it is because si General Terrero is worry siya about that book. And Terrero informed Rizal that si Bernardino Nozaleda, an Archbishop of Manila, nag-petition to ban. So gusto nila nga i-ban ang Noli ni Tangere. Gusto nila i-ban ang Noli ni Tangere, but he assigned Jose Tabil de Indrade as the Rizal's bodyguard. So the ad hoc committee of the faculty of the University of Santo Tomas, nakita nila nga ang Noli ni Tangere is as ecclesiastical heretical, impious, scandalous, politically unpatriotic, and harmful to the Spanish government, dili lang sa Spanish government, but also sa administration in the Philippines. Then, a newspaper article in Madrid recently attacked the Noli, while some members of the Spanish court has labeled it as an anti-Catholic, Protestant, socialistic. Rizal's namesake, Jose Rodriguez, also took great pains to write 8 anti-Noli pamphlets which were forcibly sold to churchgoers. So, tungod adto, in, in Madrid, nagama sila og Spanish article na mu-attack or kanang maoy mo paguba bitaw sa book nga Noli ni Tangere. So while some members gitawag ni nga ang book is anti-Catholic, Protestant, and socialistic. So si Jose Rodriguez took great pains to write 8 anti-Noli pamphlets, which were forcibly, so those 8 anti-Noli pamphlets is forcibly sold to the churchgoers. So however, ang Filipino theologian and priest nga si Vicente Garcia is ni ingon or ni claim, counter the claims that Noli or ni oppose siya, wala siya ni agree sa ingon nga ang Noli's author was an ignorant man, and then kung ang katong mga tao nga mubasa is makapungit sila og mortal sin. So wala si Vicente Garcia ni agree din ha. And then Rizal himself described the effects of Noli, stating that his book made a lot of noise and that he was considered a German spy, Protestant, Freemason, sorcerer, damned, Saul, and evil. He also recounted how enemies burned his books and friends bought them for as much as 50 pesos. So sa kadagaran si Rizal, nakarealize ko siya nga ang iya hadekong book is naka-effect of many people, the effects of Noli, stating that ang iya nga book is naka-made siya og noise, kanang himong controversial, and then munay usapod sa reason nga naglagugot ang mga tao. And he was also considered as the German spy, so considered as the German spy, the Protestant, the Freemason, sorcerer, damned, Saul, and evil. So he also recounted how enemies burned his books, so and friends bought them for as much as 50 pesos. So matong reactions to Noli may Tangere na po. And that's all. Thank you.